It's time for the Lowell Green Show, originating live on BlastTheRadio.com. Ask your smart speaker to play Blast the Radio. Live video available on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Email Lowell at BlastTheRadio.com. The number to call or text is 613-413-2217. And now, telling it like it is, here's Lowell Green.
Thank you, John. I got a kick out of that song, "Twisting the Night Away."
Yeah,
it brought back some memories. Not long after Debbie and I first met, for somehow or other, I forget exactly how, but I ended up in a twist contest in a major hotel in downtown Ottawa. And Debbie was very shy. She didn't want to get out there on the stage and make a fool of herself. I've been doing it for a long time, making a fool of myself, so I had no problem. And so there was another young lady there, and she grabbed a hold of me, or I grabbed a hold of her. Anyway, long story short, we won. I was in my younger days when I could actually move. I wasn't too bad. I could twist pretty damn good. I couldn't do much else, but I could twist a little bit. But I'll never forget the prize. It was the ugliest, god-awful thing you have ever seen. It was one of those paintings or whatever it is done in velvet, black velvet.
Oh, yeah.
I forget, like it was a, I don't know, a bear or a horse or something, all done in velvet. And I took it over to Debbie. "Oh, my God," says Debbie, "we can't I'm not putting that on our wall." So I gave it to the other woman. She was delighted, absolutely.
Well, there you go, win-win.
Oh, the old velvet painting. Oh, my goodness. Anything you want to discuss this morning, folks? Lines are wide open as usual. Let's go through it again there, John.
Absolutely. 613-413-2217 is the Lowell Green line. You can call. You can text as well. If you're following Lowell on Facebook, we will give your comment a like to let you know that we've seen it, and it's on my list to try and get on the air to Lowell. You can also email Lowell at BlastTheRadio.com. You can listen to the show, by the way, just by asking your smart speaker, Alexa or Google, to play Blast the Radio. And, of course, we're available as a podcast. Again, ask your smart speaker to play Lowell Green Podcast. That's a long list of stuff.
Oh, my goodness. Good for you. I've decided that we spent about $20 billion we've invested. So I thought that every morning, or virtually every morning, I'd give you a report on how your investment in green energy in Ontario is working out.
Oh, good.
We've last week it was 3 and 4% and so forth.
Yeah.
Oh, wind and solar is really pumping it out today. We're consuming. Now, if you go to IESO, please do it. Okay, IESO. That's all. .ca. You'll see it. It's very simple. People, I still get, every time I say this, people say, "Oh, that's government propaganda or something." No, it's not. It's right there. That's it. It's the Independent Electrical Contractors Association, whatever it is. So, but it tells you exactly how much power is being consumed, where it's being consumed, where it's being produced, okay, and the cost and so forth. But don't even look at the cost. You'll have a stroke. But this morning, wind and solar really, really pumping it out. We're consuming 1,000 megawatts. Which is rather low, but it's, we don't need a whole lot of air conditioning. Of that, and it's a pretty windy day, 16,000, keep in mind. Wind is producing 161 megawatts, solar, 71. Combined, 1.45%. In other words, less than 1.5% of all of the energy we need today being produced by about $50 billion worth of wind and solar. Beauty. I love it. The solar, 71. I did a little mathematics. My figuring is that 71 megawatts of solar would pretty well power the drugstore, the pizza parlor, and maybe the bakery in Carp. I'm not sure about the bakery. I'm not quite sure how much they would consume. But certainly the pizza parlor and the drugstore in Carp, the wind. $20 billion. Folks, and you know what? And I'm still getting news from people, information from people saying, well, we just need more windmills. We need more solar. This is the wave of the future. All last week when the weather was beautiful, the sun was shining, the wind was blowing, it was less than 5%. This morning with no sun, and even though there's still a bit of a breeze, less than 1.5%. How the hell can we survive in Ontario with 1.5% of the power that we need? It's beautiful, beautiful. Want another scary thought? Want a scary thought? Oy, 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 oy. I'll give you one. Justin Trudeau, Dean of the G7. Ay, ay, ay. If that doesn't scare the bejabbers out of you, then you have no bejabbers in you, believe me. Justin Trudeau, Dean of the G7. Think of it. My wife just gasped.
I just heard that.
Way to go, Tim. But the thought of Justin Trudeau as the leader of the three major nations in the Western world, I mean, holy suffering doodle cats. I'm going to tell you, folks, this old world of ours is in far bigger trouble than I ever thought. But, John, it makes you wonder where some of the great leaders of yesterday are. Obviously, what we have is not just Justin Trudeau, with the possible exception of what's her name from Germany, who's, by the way, is soon to be gone.
Angela Merkel.
Angela Merkel. I mean, what a bunch of losers. My goodness. I mean, where are the Churchills, the Margaret Thatchers, the Ronald Reagans, the Gorbachevs? Where are they? Nowhere to be found. Can you just imagine? Oh, and by the way, talking about unbelievable leadership, how about Krista Freeland, second in command? Like if Trudeau goes, she's our prime minister. She's at the G. Did you see that, John? She's at the G7 parading around in her freaking bare feet.
No, I missed that.
She's in bare feet. This is the finance minister. This is a woman in charge of spending billions of dollars, second in command, the government of Canada, at the G7, supposedly the world's leaders, or the Western world, etc., walking around in bare feet. I mean, what kind of an upbringing did this young lady have? That's unbelievable. Can you imagine Justin Trudeau, Krista Freeland turning to Mikhail Gorbachev and saying, "Tear down that wall, Mr. Gorbachev"? Huh. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, my God. There's one thing the Liberals are really good at, though, and that's stopping debate. I mean, they have stopped debate on just about everything. I mean, at one point, they stopped Parliament for several months to stop debate on Lavalin, right? Then they stopped debate on ennui. They stopped debate on examining what's going on in the military, sexual harassment, et cetera, et cetera. Now they are stopping debate on Bill C-30. Well, they also stopped debate on Bill C-10, which is could very well put me off the air. No major loss there. But Bill C-30 is a bill to approve the spending and all of the other projects in the last budget, 2001 budget. Very, very major bill. Expenditure of tens of billions of dollars, all kinds of new programs, and the Liberals are limiting debate. This is the one thing that they do, and why they can get away with it is just beyond me. Anyway, on something else, John, have we got anything coming in there yet?
A little bit here and there. I've got a question though. So, okay, Bill C-10, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It goes through the House of Commons. Where are we at in the Senate as far as Liberals, Conservatives, etc.? How does that stack up? Could they stop that?
Well,
I mean, they could stop that, but
it's still a Liberal-dominated Senate.
That's what I'm asking. So, Thank you. Okay.
So no, they won't. They won't stop it. It's we're over. We're over a barrel without a paddle, whatever the hell that means. On a different issue here, unions making a big fuss over Doug Ford implementing the notwithstanding clause. You'll see big full-page ads. There's one thing the unions have is a lot of money, obviously, your money. So they are claiming that Doug Ford is shutting down free speech, if you read the ads. What Ford is doing, of course, is just slightly leveling the playing field. In past elections, and not just this most recent one with Doug Ford, but every recent election in the province of Ontario, the unions, and sometimes they'll even form some sort of special association, they have spent tens of millions of dollars trying to defeat the Conservatives. Even the police union, for God's sake, at one point, they, they were spending money trying to defeat conservatives, and they usually succeed. Tens of millions of dollars. This, of course, is to surmount the regulations that are in place. The laws now say, and I won't go into all the details, the laws now say they put a limit on the amount of money that a political party can spend during an election campaign, and they also set deadlines as to when you can spend it, etc. But to get around this, the big loophole is the unions, they take their marching orders from the liberals, but they can spend whatever money they want, and they got lots of money. So Doug Ford is instituting some legislation, essentially, which has to overrule a court decision, and saying, no, we're going to level the playing field here. We'll put a limit. We'll put a limit on how much money the unions can spend, or any third party can spend, and also the time that you can spend it. That's what it is. It's just to level the playing field. You may have some thoughts on that. By the way, can I talk to you for a moment or two about tomatoes? Now, I can remember when I was a little boy back on the farm, Arthur, Ontario, and we grew lovely tomatoes. Well, almost every farm, certainly in those days, grew lovely tomatoes. You had to pick the worms off them once in a while, but they were big, fat, juicy tomatoes. And I mean juicy. You could just eat them, put a little dash of salt, and the juice would run down your cheeks onto your shirt, and so it didn't matter, okay? So I can remember coming back, I maybe was 5, 6 years old. I was doing something out, playing obviously, and I came back and I said, Grandma, can you make me a tomato sandwich? Oh man, it's a memory that still stays with me. Homemade bread, big thick homemade bread, homemade butter, we made everything there, and this great big thick juicy tomato. So I said to Debbie the other day, I'd love to have a tomato sandwich. So she brought home this big, beautiful tomato. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, it's not Suntec. I endorsed Suntec tomatoes for many years, as you know, and they are beautiful. They're almost as good as Graham, but some of the places they don't have Suntec or they're sold out. So it wasn't Suntec. Anyway, put it in there. You know what? The damn thing was so hard, so tasteless, I couldn't eat it. I had to cut chunks of this bit of tomato and throw them away. Obviously, what's happening is they're growing these tomatoes, I guess, in Mexico, and they are breeding them to be so hard so that you can throw them all into a train or airplane or something and cart them. So they are being now designed not for your appetite. They are being designed so that they will travel without bruising. But they taste like crap. It's not a tomato. It's not a tomato. You know what? My kingdom for a real tomato. You ever had a real good tomato, John? Do you like tomatoes?
I love tomatoes, and I'm with you. I love Suntec, and every time I'm in Manotick, they've got the best signs too. They have fun. They're a good group of folks.
The little I started that. The Little Miracles from Manotick.
That's hard to say, by the way.
Anyway, I just thought I would raise the whole issue of tomatoes, and I want to talk now about some new programs at Shields. Shields is doing very well, and by the way, I want to thank you. I just heard from Mark Shields, and tells me that he has a lot of customers who've come in there saying Lowell sent me, and as Mark said, you know what? I got a lot of customers now who would never have been in here were it not for this program, and he paid tribute to you as well, John. But I told you on Friday that they've instituted a program now where one phone call, all right? You order your appliance, whatever it is, major, and at the same time, you can order the installation. So when they come and they deliver your appliance, they can install it right there. This in most places, as you know, you have to order. Maybe you wait 3 weeks or whatever it is, not at Shields. And then you have to order, you get someone to install it. But Shields, they've instituted this new program. You order there, and you can also at the same time order the installation. It will be done at the same time. They'll deliver and then have it installed right there. The other thing is that there's some wonderful finance arrangements that they have just instituted. I'll just go through one. Zero payments, no payment at all, zero interest, zero down for the first 6 months on any item in the store for purchases under $1,500. So zero payments, zero interest, zero down. for the first 6 months, under 1,500. Option 2, 0 payments, 0 interest, 0 down for 12 months on purchases of $1,500 pre-tax or more on Frigidaire or Electrolux products only. So there you go, folks. Not only can you book your assembly, your installation at the same time you book your order, but 0 down, 0 interest for the length of the term. Shields, I mean, they just go way out of their way to please you. Text, yes, John, please go ahead.
By the way, that just makes sense. It's delivered, it's installed. Thank you. Great conversation going on. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's Valley common sense, right?
Yep.
Valley common sense.
Lots of great conversations going on about where to get local tomatoes, that they won't be ready till the end of July, and people are now talking about tomato and grilled cheese, and I'm getting hungry reading the comments. But we have other comments as well. By the way, a reminder about the phone number. We'd love to hear from you, 613-413-2217. Regarding the ineptitude of leaders, Hazel says, imagine if war broke out. Oh, my God, we'd be done. Joshua says, good at stopping debate and getting others to take debate. Okay. Robert says, Krista Freeland dresses like Wilma Flintstone. Lisa says, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Lisa says, Bill C-10 is anti-democratic. She also says the Liberals get away with it as the media gives them a pass and spin things to look positive. Peter says, the dean of G7, he was sad because the world media didn't fawn over his morning jog. Anne says, excuse me, did the popular Quebec premier not use the notwithstanding clause?
Oh, yes. And in fact, the notwithstanding clause has been used in Saskatchewan. It's been used in Alberta and certainly been used more than once in the province of Quebec. It was used in Quebec to essentially discriminate against the English. But all Doug Ford wants to do is level the playing field, take some of the power away from the unions. It's a bloody well time, in my opinion. John, how many electric buses is the city of Ottawa ordering?
I want to say 38, 40, somewhere in that neighborhood.
How many have we tested, John?
0.
So we are ordering, and by the way, an electric bus costs about 50% more than a regular diesel bus, okay? So we're ordering, I thought it was around 45. I can't keep track of it. But however, they're ordering a large number without ever testing one. Now, my understanding is that they have some in Calgary, which, by the way, costs them a lot less than they're talking about here. But what is this great urge to electrify everything? I don't know. Is global warming really that much of a threat in Ottawa? I don't think so. As I pointed out, and I've done this before on this program, the average temperature, the mean temperature, average temperature in Florida and Ottawa varies. It's about almost 20 degrees. In other words, the average temperature in Florida is almost 20 degrees higher than the average here in Ottawa. And the last time I checked, they do pretty well in Florida. In fact, so well that millions of people flee Canada to go to Florida, including many who live there. So I saw something the other day was that a temperature increase of 1.5 would destroy all the crops. Well, I'm telling you, the average temperature in Florida is about 20 degrees higher than in Ottawa, and they sure grow some great crops in Florida. It's all, the bullshit that flies. I have no question that the planet is slightly warming. I mean, it's been warming up for over 10 million years, right, since the Ice Age. But to claim that no crops will grow if temperature goes up 1.5 degrees, when it's 20 degrees higher in Florida, it's about 18 degrees higher in Southern California. They grow. Southern California is the breadbasket of North America. That's probably where the damn tomato came from. Barry is on the line. Barry, we missed you the last couple of days, sir. You been sleeping or what?
Well, you've been on holidays, Lowell.
Not really. Go ahead.
Well, you had a few days off. I hope you enjoyed them.
Well, no, actually, I was at the doctor's, but go ahead.
Oh, do you still have your cottage, Lowell?
No. What's on your mind, Barry?
Well, just a lot of the things you're talking about. The windmills are, a real joke. They're a waste of time, waste of money. They can't even operate fully when there's really heavy winds. They have to shut them down or they'll shake apart. There's that. There's, I don't know what else I was going to say about the leadership and stuff. It's just, to me...
You really came prepared for this call, Barry, no question about it. I mean, you're really primed here.
I got... My brain parked itself there just when the call went through. No, I had something specific to say, but it's unfortunate that we've got all this garbage to put up with, and these leaders can't seem to see reality, especially when it comes to global warming. I've said for years that my suspicion about global warming is that our magnetic field is weakening in some places over the Pacific and in South Atlantic, where all the storms start, all the hurricanes and tornadoes and cyclones or whatever they call them down in the South Pacific. But, when we get an El Niño or Il Niño or whatever they call the heat, the one that heats us up, I believe that's really from too much solar radiation getting through and heating up the oceans more than they're normally.
Let me ask you this, Barry. As you know, there is a story making the rounds started by a doctor, believe it or not, that really what they are doing when they vaccinate, don't forget, almost 3 billion people in the world have now been vaccinated. Now, if in fact 3 billion people have been magnetized, do you think that that's one of the problems here? That in fact what we're dealing with is a mass population that has been magnetized and it's throwing the entire planet out of kilter? I wonder if that's what's going on here, Barry.
No, I don't think that's the case, Lowell, but I just wanted to compare it to back in the day when, let's go back 300-400 years, 500 years, when everything was done with fireplaces, with wood burning, whether it was cooking or heating a home or heating a castle or any kind of building, outdoors, everything was done with a campfire, all that kind of stuff. Now, how they've got no way of measuring the carbon content or
of course,
whatever.
the population of the world has greatly increased since then. Barry, I've got to go, sir. Thank you for your call. Next time, try to have something really, really important to say here, Barry. Thank you. Like tomatoes. Next time, I want you to give me a commentary on tomatoes. Text coming in, John, yes.
Yes, indeed. We're kind of all over the place with the various subjects, but here we go. Hazel says, yesterday, I went on the Weather Channel, and there were 2 big banners from the Teachers Union to sign a petition against Doug Ford. Unbelievable. Oh, yeah. Rob in Carlton Place emails to say, the massive spending by unions on political campaigns is driving me crazy. They use money collected from all union members, many of which do not support left-wing governments. On top of that, union dues are tax exempt to the unions, but members receive a full tax deduction, usually around 40%. That means taxpayers are on the hook for about 40% of all this election spending. It needs to be stopped.
Good point. Thank you very much. Very true. So when the unions spend $10 million trying to defeat Doug Ford or whomever, just don't forget that every single taxpayer in this province helps to pay that, including conservatives. I'm a conservative. Everybody knows that. But some of my tax dollars, and I still pay a lot of tax, some of my tax dollars goes to try and defeat Doug Ford, and that is not right. Good for you. Got anything more there, John? Yes, go ahead.
Absolutely. David says, I thought there were no more liberals in the Senate. Justin Trudeau said that they were all independent. Right. Robert says, question, if in fact Justin and Sophie are separated, should the Canadian taxpayers be saddled with paying for her housing, employees, and other living expenses?
Well, that's a good question. And it's still, the jury is still out. Are they separated? This has got to be one of the biggest secrets I have ever seen in
He
this
was
city.
all alone at the G7. It's got a lot of people on board with you now asking that question if they weren't already.
But it just seems to me that if it was like his father, we knew, all of the affairs that he was having. We knew that he fathered an illegitimate child, et cetera, et cetera. We knew all of that. There were no secrets there. They even followed Margaret into a mental hospital in Montreal on one occasion. So, but I don't understand how we don't somehow, maybe, I know it's just gossip, but in fact, that last texter is making a good point. several $1 million has been spent refurbishing or, from all reports, maybe rebuilding parts of Harrington Lake. And the taxpayers are paying for that. So isn't our taxpayers really being billed for some of that? I don't know. And why this is still a secret, why their relationship is still a secret, is one of the great mysteries, I think, in this city. I have a question for you before we go. Let me ask your opinion, and I know I'm getting a little late, so maybe we can deal with this tomorrow. In your opinion, and I'd like you to think about this, do you think that we should do something to help young people buy their first home? You know what's happening. Homes that at one point, maybe even last year, you could buy for $500,000-$600,000 are now going for about $1 million. There's the reason I ask this. There's a very good program now which helps young people attend university or college. It's called the Registered Education Savings Plan. Essentially, it's a plan where anybody can contribute to this savings plan. It's registered. Contribute whatever you want. The government will then match every dollar invested with the plan with 20 cents. So you put in $100, the government will put in $20. The plan can be used to fund tuition or other post-secondary education costs. If the child doesn't go to post-secondary, then whoever contributed the money gets the money back, but you don't get the government. The government gets the money back. And I'm wondering if we should institute a program, something similar, for first-time home buyers. We use the child education program for all three of our grandchildren, so grandparents anybody can contribute. And it just seems to me that this is one of the great dilemmas, I think, of young people today. How am I ever going to be able to buy a home? So do you think we should help them somehow or other? Here is not a bad idea. It's already, this, we could just use almost a cookie cutter, call it the Registered Savings Home Ownership Plan or something of that sort. Do you think we should help? John, you had some more texts coming in there. What
we do. Barry's also back on the phone because he remembers what he wanted to talk to.
Well, it's too late now.
All right,
sorry, Barry.
David says, I'm with you. Homegrown or Suntech, or it's not a tomato. Peter says, electric buses are good for California, but in Ottawa winters, must be Liberals getting money somewhere from the bus deal. Carrie says, Oslo got electric buses from Spain, never tested in winter, ends up batteries don't keep up during cold weather, must be charged more often. Hope Ottawa bought from a company that actually tested them in the winter before selling them. You and I were talking about that before the show. Like, my iPhone battery won't even last in the wintertime. Hope they've got a better battery on board. And Randy says, I can't understand why electric vehicles are so popular. What happens when there's a major power outage as we've had in the past? The entire transit system will come to a standstill as both rail and bus will be running on electricity. By the way, has anyone seen what Hydro One charges for electricity? There's a reason why no one heats their homes with baseboard heaters. And we have a question by text at 613-413-2217. Hi, Lowell. When is CERB ending? I'm looking for people to work in construction. No experience needed. Good pay.
You know what? Up and down the Carp Road, there has to be maybe 4 signs, maybe 5 signs. And those every single business along there has got a help wanted. Truck drivers, drivers, construction workers, carpenters. It's unbelievable. Everybody is saying the same thing. They can't hire anybody. I don't know if it's because they're getting CERB. I'm not sure what it is. I don't understand how we can have an unemployment rate over 8% and everybody that I know is looking for workers. Something's going on out there. I have to spend just a moment here to talk about other good friends of mine, Centennial Glass. Folks, if you're in the market for glass of any kind, major project, minor project, you just want a new window has been broken in your home, or a whole hotel that's got to be outfitted with windows, doors, etc., Centennial Glass. They've got the experts and they've got the best, they claim, and I believe them, the best warranty in the business. Workmanship is second to none. Centennial Glass. Glass of any kind. Repairs, including screens, by the way. Doesn't have to be a major job at all. Centennial Glass on Industrial Avenue here in Ottawa and in good old Renfrew. 450 buses, John. Thank you very much. Yeah, I thought it was by the way, one of the reasons, of course, we're buying them is that apparently we're getting a real substantial grant from the federal government. But it's not the federal government, it's the taxpayers. So whether it's just the taxpayers in Ottawa paying for this or taxpayers everywhere, I mean, It's tax dollars. And by the way, you know, the big story about Trudeau going to give $100 million doses of vaccine. Well, we're broke in this country. We're billions and billions of dollars in debt. It's all very nice. You know, this gives you something to really puff your chest out. Big deal. You know, Canada's going to give $100 million. That's great. But we're broke. We're broke. Not only are we broke, we're so deeply in debt. I don't know how we'll ever pay it back. 100 million doses? How much is that going to cost? Good God. Gotta go. Thank you all. We'll be back.
Lowell Green, live on blasttheradio.com. Show info and links at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Subscribe to the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and more. Or ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. Join us live weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on blasttheradio.com.